everybody, Mike McWilliams. Welcome to Upstairs to the Right Music channel. Before we get started today, just a quick reminder, we are in a subscription drive. We are trying to push this channel over 1,000 subs. We're just 30 subscribers away from making that happen out there. So if you're new to this channel and you like the contents and you haven't subscribed yet, please join this community that we're building here and push us over that edge. I appreciate it very much if you do that. And for everybody who has subscribed, thank you so much for coming every week and staying tuned with us to see what we're coming out with. Promise you a lot of exciting things every week I'm going to be doing here on this channel, and it's just going to get better going forward. Okay, on to the news. Today's first news story, we're going to talk about how Gibson has decided to get back into the amplifier market through their acquisition of Mesa Boogie. As you know, Gibson purchased Mesa Boogie and they haven't really done much with it as of yet, but there's now been discussions with the president of Gibson and Mesa Boogie about coming out with Gibson branded amplifiers. Now, Gibson branded amplifiers historically are not as well known as Fenders or Marshalls, but they do have a little bit of a history to them, so it is an interesting idea to do this. However, it has been reported that in order now, since the acquisition of Gibson of Mesa Boogie, in order to become a Mesa Boogie distributor, you have to put a deposit down of $250,000. This has severely curtailed the amount of people, small businesses especially, that used to deal with Mesa Boogie and their ability to carry this forward. That's one problem. The biggest problem facing anybody talking about coming any new range of amps anytime soon is the worldwide tube shortage. We've reported here on this channel before that there is a severe shortage of vacuum tubes, and that has not abated at all. This is coupled with the logistical issues that are going on, distribution issues that are going on, other parts, microchips for example. So the proposition for me, if I was a dealer and Gibson said, hey, give us $250,000 and we'll promise you these Gibson amps down the line. Well, the truth of the matter is that can they really build them first? Do they have the parts in order to do that? I don't think that they do, because very few people do at this point. It's one of the reasons why we're seeing shortages of amps coming out onto the market. The second thing is that just quite frankly, the timing on this seems a little off. I know that they have to do something with this acquisition, and they need to make an announcement like this. It is even as spurless as an announcement. This was no details at all, but if you really just look at the possibility of something like this occurring, sure, they'll pull it off, but I don't think it's going to be anytime soon, A, and B, I think that it's going to be a mixed bag at best in terms of what they come out with. Nobody is out there clamoring for Gibson amps, and certainly with the acquisition of Mesa Boogie, there's been some questions there as to what will happen with the quality of Mesa Boogies going forward. All right, on to our next news topic. Epiphone has released their 1961 SG model. Now this guitar is a solid two-piece mahogany body, a mahogany neck, with basically all the same appointments that this guitar next to me has, the 1959 Epiphone. It has the same Busbroker 2 and 3 pickups, switchcraft, Mallory caps, the whole nine. All of the hardware, everything is identical to the 59. With the exception that as it was introduced with the Joe Bonamassa Lazarus, they're starting to do one-piece necks. So this SG has a one-piece neck, whereas this one has a Bluetooth. So it's not quite exactly the same guitar in terms of construction, but pretty close. I mean, as a matter of fact, I believe that is the only exception. So at an asking price of $850 with a case, it's an interesting proposition. Now, what do I think about it? I think that I paid $750 at the time, or $799, whatever the retail was for this guitar at the beginning of last year, and it is a full Les Paul. It's a full, in my opinion, there's value there to justify that price. At $50 more, I know there's been an increase in prices at Epiphone and Gibson across the board, but at $50 more for an SG, I'm just feeling that it's priced a little high. An SG is not as complicated of an instrument to produce as it is with a Les Paul. You got to put that maple cap on it and the binding, all those things that you generally don't see on SGs. Now this SG also, with it having Brusberger 2 and 3s in it, seems a little off message too. If you're going to call yourself the Epiphone 1961 SG, then you should have the 61T and the 61R Brusbergers in there. Those are SG Brusbergers, so that makes sense. And again, seems a little bit off message there. So, in my opinion, if you're in the market for an SG, then this is your best bet, in the Epiphone line, because the other Epiphone SGs, again, they've got that veneer on it, and the pickups are the Pro Buckers, but it's just not as well of a put together guitar as this 850 model they've come out with. So it is something to consider. However, I will say that I believe it's slightly overpriced. If they had come out with this guitar at around $699, I think that would have been a better price on it. I think a lot of people would have swooped it up. As it stands right now, even with the case, a lot of guys who bought the Lazarus, a lot of guys who bought the 59, there's just not a need for another Brusberger 2 and 3 guitar, even it being an SG. So something to think about. Okay, on to the last news feature today in the mic check section. We're going to kind of pull off of that last story on the Epiphone SG, and we're going to talk about this Harley Benton SG that I unboxed last week. And we're going to talk about how an inexpensive guitar is not necessarily equatable to a beginner's guitar. They're not equatable at all, actually. I would like for people to start to understand that with the manufacturing that's being done on guitars these days, if you even at putting in $200 into this, you're getting a whole lot of instrument as opposed to when I was a teenager back in the 80s. It's a completely different market. It's a completely different thing. So that thinking that cheap guitars equal beginner guitar or star guitar has actually been blown out of the water. And it's been blown out of the water by this guitar. I found out that actually this guitar is not based on the Epiphone SG, for example, like the 61 that we just discussed. This is actually based on the Epiphone Prophecy series. As a matter of fact, it is a note-for-note copy of the Epiphone Prophecy series. And I looked at the Epiphone Prophecy series, and this is actually a better guitar. Again, that Prophecy series has that very fake-looking veneer on it, on the front and the back. Pro Bucker pickups. Your basic run-of-the-mill Epiphone hardware, nothing special there. Whereas this guitar has no veneer. These Roswell pickups, I have to admit to you, I was thinking about swapping, I wasn't thinking about it, I was for sure going to swap them out with the 61 and the 61 T and R. However, this neck pickup is excellent. For a retail $30 Alnico 5 pickup, this neck pickup is awesome. So much so that I use this guitar to record a guitar solo for my album that I'm working on, using this neck pickup. Using this right out of the box. I did a little bit of a setup, but it was good enough to go, and the solo sounds fantastic. So yeah, I like this Roswell neck pickup. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a Lolar bridge pickup in here, the Lolar Imperial. And that's it. The tuners on this guitar I found are Grover tuners. I would be a fool to take the tuners off of this guitar. These are great Grover tuners, so there's no need to replace it. The point of this is that there's really no need to do anything to this guitar at all, really. Replacing the bridge pickup is a personal choice. But this $200 guitar, being inexpensive, does not make it a beginner guitar. This is actually quite a sophisticated guitar. The push-pull that you can do on this, slitting these coils, is a fantastic kind of cool thing that I never thought that I needed before. And this is the very first guitar that I've ever had that has it. And I discovered that actually it's something that's kind of cool. It's something that you'd want to look into. So an inexpensive guitar does not necessarily equate to a starter or a beginner's guitar. Honestly, you should be more concerned about how it feels when you have it, when you hold it in your hands. I've held very expensive guitars in my hands and quite frankly they didn't do it for me. This guitar, I just love the neck of it. I love the way it feels. I don't have a problem with neck dive. If you have a problem with neck dive, use a strap that's got some kind of Velcro or something on it so that it doesn't slide around when you put it on. I've had no problems with that. This is the best guitar purchase I've ever made, to be frank with you, all the way around. The best value that I've ever had in a guitar. And it is a very professional instrument. It is not something that is to be trifled with. You could gig, you could tour with this. I certainly just recorded with it. So again, let's stop thinking that an inexpensive guitar is a starter or a beginner guitar. That's not true at all. It really comes down to, you know, the manufacturer, and Harley Benton is a great manufacturer. This was made in Indonesia. And I've always wanted a guitar made in Indonesia. The Indonesian guitars are excellent, and this is a really good example of that. Alright, so just my thoughts on the matter. I thought I would share with you. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch today. I wish each and every one of you a happy new year and blessings going into the New Year's, and until the next show, you take care. Bye-bye.